Welcome to Pep Talks with Jeanne. I'm your host, Jeanne Pepper. I started doing Pep Talks as a way to inspire you to do intentional acts of kindness and to further the goals of Blaze It Forward. Since Pep Talks began, it has evolved, and now I use it to interview people actively making a difference in this world through their volunteerism, community service, or careers. My guests are all here because they have dedicated their lives to making this world a better place. Join us as we delve into the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of these truly inspiring and hardworking people. This season, we will be focusing on the quiet superheroes, the thoughtful, kind, and forward-thinking community-minded individuals that teach us about resiliency, abundance, and how we can turn trauma, tragedy, and life challenges into meaningful, intentional action to repair our world. Welcome to another episode of Pep Talks with Jeanne. Today, we have a guest who understands the profound power of gathering, connection, and using tradition to build community. He's a celebrated chef, a multiple cookbook author, and a wonderful voice in modern Jewish cuisine. His work transforms the simple act of eating into intentional celebratory experience. His latest book, Dinner Party Animal. Yes. I love this book. Isn't just a collection of recipes. It's a master class in using hospitality to deepen relationships and find a sense of belonging. He teaches us that hosting doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be present. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the incredibly talented Jake Cohen.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
So excited. Now, I wanted to get you in here last year, but there wasn't time.
I know.
Yeah, Jake visits Orange County every so often.
Every 2 years, every time I have a new book, I come by.
Yeah,
I
know.
And we discussed this last time, and here we are.
And here we are. Jake is such a mensch. He actually reached out and said, "Hey, we're doing this." So
let's do it.
I'm thrilled. I'm so glad I'm still doing this. So, usually I interview people that have overcome significant challenges in life and have done something really, really great with it. They try to make the world a better place. And from what I see from the books and what you do, you've taken, obviously being LGBTQ in New York where you live is not difficult. I'm sure it's probably easier.
It is definitely easier than many places around this country, around the world. Right. And I think, I don't know, like for me, I remember I resonated so strongly with your son, and I remember the story. And as someone who's both so like quintessentially gay and Jewish, and my community, both in New York and pretty much globally, are just other gay Jews, there is this like common language and this idea that we all kind of like just know each other and can see each other so well and so deeply just by having this like pinpointed overlapped identity. And so I think that's why it resonates so much, why I related so much to you from first interaction, and why I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, the intersection of Jewish and gay, it's not enough to just be one.
Yeah.
But the both together is like, it's like the I don't know, it's not a trifecta, but being a cook, maybe that makes you
and that on top of it, that's what like kind of gutted me. Yeah.
And I want to show my audience just how much you and Blaze were alike. This is a picture of Blaze. One of the last things he cooked for us was this beautiful, we have the recipe for it too. It's a spiced rum plum upside down cake. Not to be confused with Jake's beautiful, and I'm going to show you a picture of what I saw in his latest cookbook.
Oh yeah. I know it.
You know which one it is, don't you?
Yeah.
Here it is.
The apple tarte tatin. Yeah.
There we go.
I love an upside down cake. I love baking. I love
right?
all of it. Yeah.
I mean, you both you obviously didn't know about Blaze's upside down plum cake, and nor did he know about yours. But yet you both came up with like this beautiful creation in the same. Yeah. So there's something there. There's something about that aesthetic of making food look like, joy.
For sure. I mean, I think there's this overlap between food as a connector, food as this conduit for bringing people together, and what aesthetics play into that of making beautiful food that draws people in, and then from there it's what connects them.
Yeah, that was something that made Blaze and my relationship so special, was we loved cooking together in the kitchen. And of the 3 children, he was the only one that really loved cooking. And he was always there. And he would be my little sous chef until at some point in time, I think around high school, all of a sudden I became the sous chef.
I love it.
Yeah, I was now the cleaning person.
Oh, what a blessing. He's so lucky he had you.
Yeah. And then because at some point in we had this uncomfortable time where I would be like, okay, you can do whatever you want, but clean up after yourself. And then I gave up on it because I thought, you know what? Screw it. I don't care if he cleans up. I just want to enjoy this incredible food he makes. I'm willing to clean up to get to that food. So yeah. And he was super creative like you. I don't know. Maybe there's something about that creativity that Jewish people bring to things. It kind of comes from, I guess it comes from our background, or I don't know, but there's something about it that the food tends to be very creative, like a fusion of ideas.
Yeah, I think the creativity is universal, and what we add to it is this rich tradition of ritual. And so much of this ritual is rooted in meals and in celebration and in gatherings over food.
Yes.
And it creates that overlap that really, for anyone who then finds a creative passion in cooking, it supercharges it, because it becomes both this art form and this community-based ritual, which is so unlike so many other creative art forms that are more like acts of solitude or solo works that then get shared with the masses. This is quite literally the opposite.
Right. And, when you enjoy something, one of these creative dishes, they're gone. Poof, they're gone.
It's ephemeral.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have managed to memorialize them forever in your cookbook. So it's so important that you do that, because otherwise, you could share this beautiful food and then it's gone. But now we can all make it too.
Yeah, I think that's it's these beautiful snapshots. This is now
very pretty.
My 3rd book, and I each one is this kind of 2-year time capsule of everything that I was obsessed with in cooking, and the stories and the anecdotes, and where am I pulling memories from my childhood or from my family or from my friends or from my travels, and to put it all into a book is super special.
It is. And it's something too, like for me with my son, I encourage parents who, want to find something to bond with a child. There's nothing quite like cooking. Most kids love getting into the kitchen and making a mess, and learn. And, some of them, like Blaze, they just really take to it. So it's a really fun thing to do, and it's productive because you've got somebody helping you now in your kitchen. So, and they learn from you. Like, they learn how to make traditional food, which is important to Jewish people, that
Completely.
we, carry on these traditions. I was always so proud of when he would make matzo ball soup or whatever it was, and just to see the pride that he had being able to make Jewish food as a young person.
Yeah, and it's something great. That it wasn't, it didn't come until later for me. It was something where I was so keen on the skill set and learning and going very much in the traditional sense of education and like the fine French restaurant kind of background, that it wasn't until my 20s when I started kind of writing about Jewish food through just family recipes, and that's when it just really kind of resonated with me on such a deeper level, because it tied in both my passion for cooking with really the stories of identity and the stories of the people that made me who I am.
That's interesting. So you were a cook. You went to the Culinary Institute of America, and you had this great career. I ate at one of the restaurants you worked at. ABC Kitchen,
yeah.
I was there, gosh, it would have been 10 years ago. Did you work there 10 years ago?
It was little older than that, but
a little farther back than that. A little farther back, but probably
about around that time.
Around that time, my daughter was 10, so she's almost 20. So 12 years ago.
Okay, yeah. Then I probably was.
Yeah, we went to I remember, I loved it. It's a beautiful restaurant and wonderful food. I imagine you were probably the head chef at that point. No. Not even close. But whatever you were.
I was a line cook, and that's the kind of the magic of this world in which it's so vast, and it was the very beginning of kind of my learning of what I wanted to do. And I kind of knew that I never wanted to own a restaurant, run a restaurant. And so I just had like such an incredible experience that I knew pretty quickly on, and I had to like figure out what's next.
Yeah. But to write a book, I mean, that is more than just being a chef. Now you're into, I mean, the photographs of the food.
Photographs are wild.
You take those?
I don't take the photos, but I'm working with a team and then we do a whole photo shoot where I'm cooking every dish in the book and then I have like a food stylist and a photographer and a prop stylist that help make everything gorgeous. And it's this really beautiful collaborative effort, and I'm very present and involved in the photos. There's some people that write books that just like kind of hand the recipes over and just get their photos back, and I'm not that. I was very much hands-on. I'm hands-on in every element of things I do. This especially. I really just want to inspire people to want to cook, to find the same joy and passion that I have. And to me, when you're able to convey these recipes, these ideas, these stories with gorgeous photos, with recipes that work, with all of the kind of magic and attention it deserves, changes everything.
Absolutely. Your writing is fun. It's light, and I like that you bring in your friends, your celebrity friends in New York, who have, obviously they've been at your dinner table. They've enjoyed meals with you. I read that you had dinner with Selena Gomez at your table, and you talk about that, about like, can you believe that, like, can you imagine this happening? Well, this happened. And you're just kind of left thinking, you know what, this is incredible. I mean, if this is good enough for Selena Gomez, this is going to be great for my family, right? I mean,
to be clear, it's like I think these are all people that I treat just like friends and family. Most of the times, it's mixed with my other friends and family. Yeah, and so it's like,
it's a treat for everyone. Everyone gets to meet. So they get to be social, enjoy.
So it's like my mom is at the table, and my sister and my friends, and it's all about the. If I'm a big believer that, like, if you love someone and you love someone else, they'll probably love each other too, at the transitive property when it comes to relationships. And I really kind of lean into that a lot with people and connections, and I love a platonic shidduch of like matchmaking friendships. Wow. I love that.
Ah, that's great. I've never heard that. Platonic shidduch. And for those of you that don't know what a shidduch is, that would be matchmaking. Yeah. So yeah, when we bring people together that don't know each other, like a blind date, and we say, and it's a match made in heaven.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's so beautiful. And that's a big part of what you do, bringing people together. It's so important too. It really is. I mean, in this day and age, there's so much divisiveness.
It's true.
And misunderstanding.
And the best way to combat that is meals.
Yeah, it really is.
And tables that people can gather.
And we use food to bring people together in so many ways. I mean, even like helping people that, are food scarcity.
Yeah, for sure.
People that, we use it as a way to connect as humans.
Completely.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we show that we really do care about humanity, is we make sure that at a basic level that people are fed. Mm-hmm. So, and it really shows that when you can make beautiful food like this, that we are more than just surviving here, that we are actually thriving, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're able to have more than just, oatmeal.
Yes, yeah. Abundance is a huge part of everything I do, is when you're cooking for people you love, of making them feel not just nourished, but cared for with such abundance is powerful.
Great word. I love that word, abundance, because I feel like we need to learn in this society how to live that way, and how to stop being so fearful.
Yeah.
And to live as if there's no tomorrow. And that there's so much for everybody, and to be sharing. I mean, wouldn't that be great if we lived in a world where we could all just make these beautiful meals and share with everyone? I mean, wouldn't that be something someday? So, I'm going to try to get through some specific questions with you. Was there a moment in your culinary career that pivoted your focus from just cooking to using food as a vessel for building community and connection? Like, at what point did that happen?
Yeah, it was, I would say I had left restaurants, and I was then working and running test kitchens for food magazines. And this is when I kind of like had my break into media. And for me, I really think that I was just craving community and didn't really have it. I was very head down in my 20s when I came to work. I went straight from like, I was very studious in college and culinary school. I pretty much graduated, and my senior year I was already working part-time at ABC Kitchen, and then I graduated and started full-time 2 days after graduation. So it's like I never took any time off. I never did anything but keep my head down and really try to like hustle. And it got to a point where I was like, I don't have any friends. And I really wanted to build a community. And I turned to really hosting Shabbat as this way to start to meet people and build community and have these opportunities to cook for people that I wanted to dive deeper with. And it worked. And it just became this really beautiful relationship of put time aside to not just cook for passion, but cook for the real art of gathering.
For the community sense.
And the community sense. And as I did that, I found that it both fueled my creativity for the other work I was doing, as well as it gave me this opportunity to not be so set on what is the creative part, and I could just do it to do it. And it gave me that little bit of freedom of not getting kind of really, I think sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees when it comes to any type of creative act. And it allowed me to kind of step away from pressure to make new things or create. And instead I just had to do.
Yeah.
Where every Friday I'm baking challah, and that's it.
Yeah. And also, having a table full on Shabbat. I mean, we tried to do that quite a bit when my kids were little. I felt that bringing people into the house at least one day a week for my children to be with and celebrating a Jewish event, that was the best way for them to understand what being Jewish was about.
Completely.
And we reciprocated too. So we do it sometimes, and friends would invite us. So my kids were welcomed into someone else's home and shown that hospitality also and kindness. And it's these things I think that really build. They not only build community, but for children, it gives them a sense of that community. Which I don't know, maybe you can illuminate me a little bit. I was a little concerned as Blaze was growing up, and I knew that he was gay. But I was worried that part of why he wasn't coming out was because he did not know if he would be accepted by our community. Did that ever play into your life as a young person?
I don't know if it's, and again, I think when I came out, it's very different than even just the current landscape.
Yes.
And I think of it really through this world of, it wasn't as much fear of everyone else, and it was more so about me coming to my own it was more of an internal struggle. And I think it's very interesting because it's very the gay Jewish narrative of call me by your name is I find very similar, in the sense of it's not fear of your parents disowning you, it's just your own internal struggle of coming to terms with a deep truth inside you.
You nailed it.
And that's just part of it. And you could be as supportive as you want, but it has nothing to do. I mean, that's the issue with so many Jewish moms, is they center themselves around every issue in their child's lives. And this is a case when actually it's not about you. It's just about them. And that's why there's no like one way that it plays out. And I know so many that, I definitely know those that come from more religious backgrounds in the modern Orthodox community. Sometimes that struggle of coming out takes longer, and it's less because, again, about the acceptance, and it's more so about undoing the ingrainment of the type of life that you want to covet.
Yes. Like
you want to have the wife and the kids, and you live close to your parents, and you're part of the community, and that just takes more work to undo.
Yes, you're right. I think that was the hardest thing for me as a parent, to know that and not be able to help my son.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even want the last conversation I had with him about this issue, I said to him, I said, Blaze, I said, please bring home some of your friends. I said, if you have a boyfriend, please bring him home with you. You'll have a much better time, to have somebody with you. And he's like, well, I have Jewish friends. I have gay friends, Mom. I said, oh, that's great, Blaze. He says, but we don't talk about this. But he kept saying that to me in the conversation. Like, we were talking about it. But at the same time, he's saying, we don't talk about this.
I know. I was the same way with my mother. And even still now, I think it's funny. And the main reason that I still, it's just because like I go on if she hears about me going on one date with one guy, she naturally assumes and is always asking, it's like, oh, are you still dating him? I was like, no, I went on one date with this one guy. But again, everyone's so invested and it comes from such a place of love. And yet I know the dynamic. I know the dynamic so well.
You get it. I know. So it was challenging, and I knew that he was young and that he needed to just experience life and
for sure
and figure it out. Like even one of the things he said to me was, you can tell my brother and sister that I'm gay. You please tell them, but we don't talk about this. I said, well, why don't you tell them yourself?
Exactly.
Have the conversation. And he says, no, you just do it, Mom. It's not a big deal. He says, but don't tell my grandparents. I said, don't tell your grandparents. I said, why not? He said, because I know that they'll be okay with it, but they're never going to see me the same way again. And I said, I don't really know what that means, Blaze, but it's something to talk about because that's not really true. They love you no matter what.
You don't give them the opportunity to again, it's that he has an idea of what this existence is going to do to the relationships in his life, and instead of living his truth and seeing how everything plays out, you're committed to a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's that overthinking. He was overthinking this way too much, but unfortunately he never got to talk about it with his grandparents. But I know that it never would have been a problem.
Yeah.
And it was part of who he was. It wasn't all, you have to remember that too, that whatever someone's, sexual identity is, I mean, my whole life isn't about my heteronormativity. Nobody cares,
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a piece of you.
Completely.
There's another 98% of you.
Yeah.
So, why do we have to focus on that all the time? It's like, it's kind of like that virtue signaling. Like, it's like when somebody like acknowledges that fact, it like becomes like the biggest issue in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think and that's the thing, we have these generalizations on how people are supposed to handle it and communicate it and identify with it, and it's so personal. And every single person has a different relationship to where, especially, and again, I think I keep bringing it back to being both gay and Jewish, is it's such a spectrum of where my friends in this category fall of, are they gay Jews? Are they Jewish gays? Are they which identity is a more prominent one based on their upbringing, based on their current identity and practice, based on their own communities? Like it's such an interesting look at what it means to really hold identity and also kind of hold an individual concept of who am I?
Yeah.
And it's weird because I think everyone wants to just feel like they belong. We are a tribal species. And so you see it in both in the Jewish community and the gay community and in all communities, these archetypes that come up, and you start to kind of find people that are like you and start to adapt to specific lifestyles or habits or communities. And it's a tough look inwards to be like, I love this, but I don't want to be part of, I don't know, X aspect that most people kind of buy into just because we share the same identity.
Yeah, and I think for you, I mean, being Jewish,
that was
very important to you.
Yeah.
So maybe you were not a gay Jew, but a Jewish gay. I don't know, but
it's interesting. I think.
Or does it change over time?
I think that's actually a great way to put it. It definitely changed over time. For me.
You're human, and humans change.
As you take the time to explore each, like that first book was an exploration of me in my 20s, really diving into
figuring it out. Even,
what did it mean for me to be Jewish?
Yeah.
And how am I going to take the rituals and the beautiful tradition that I've inherited and make it sustainable for my life?
Yeah.
And that was a journey that's still evolving today, in the same way that my gay identity has shifted so much over time.
Yeah.
And I've explored and I've lived. I've done a lot of living.
You've done a lot of living. I mean, you didn't have to make it about being Jewish. I mean, you're a chef.
Correct.
You could have made a book called Gayish and made it about gay food. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but you opted to do this. You took a risk because maybe people, there's plenty of people now that won't buy anything that has probably the name Jewish on it. But and that's their loss. But because this is just fun. Yeah. And I think culture and learning about other cultures is fun. Completely. And not only is it fun, but what a boring world it would be if everything was the same. And you've and you've taken Jewish food, but you've fused it with everything around you, with your life and with your life experience, so that we get something all new and different. Exactly. And we need that because even though we're traditional Jews, some of us are, some of us aren't, but we still need to evolve also with the times. We can't just keep making the same things in the same boring way year after year and be, just be okay with that.
Completely.
Yeah. We need to have things that are new and different and exciting. And you've brought that. You've made it more fun. So, our kids won't get bored and say, you know what, this is boring. I'm going to go be Buddhist and eat Thai food.
Oh my God. Well, I think that's it's a common thing when you see people who are really looking for meaning. And you see this said at every juncture of I don't know, of feeling lost, of trauma, of a million one different things, any type of challenge or hurdle, and it kind of creates this vacuum for needing to find what I consider like one of the most important things in my life, which is faith. And where they put that faith can be a million one things. It doesn't have to be religion. I think a lot of people, it's the most common thing is people end up falling into a more religious quality, but I feel the same way. It's like, I think I see people who put it into Peloton and put it into fitness, put it into diet, put it into a hobby, put it into a craft, put it into anything. And it just becomes this discipline around faith. And to me, that's what has kind of really led me on my entire career and in everything I do. And it's a lot
follow
of
your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My heart and my gut. And I just know everything is going to work out for me. And that's literally a mantra I repeat to myself.
Yeah.
Daily.
So that faith, that inner voice that you're hearing, you attribute that creativity that you have to your faith, to God. This is like a godly gift.
I love The Artist's Way, with the incredible kind of workbook for creativity by Julia Cameron. And that's very in line with a lot of the woo-woo spiritual stuff I do, where it's like we're all source. We're all this idea of like, what is God? Is God this one omnipresent being, or is God the collective of all of us? And I can't give you answers, and I'm not even going to give my opinions. What I will say is the idea that we are these vessels that channel source, and that's within everyone, to me, I think is like one of the ultimate truths. And so much of our creativity is bogged down by just like the kind of shackles that we put on ourselves in society and in our lives.
Because we're all part of this collective consciousness.
Exactly.
And we're all, you're right. I see it the same way that you do.
And everyone's creative. Everyone can have
that. We're all channeling the same thing. And, that's what being human is.
And that we're all one. And it's so funny because it seems like it goes so against the programming that we're also incredibly tribal.
Yes, it does. But that's part of just the physical.
Correct. And yet both things can exist and do exist with absolute
I think that's
beauty.
The challenge of being human, is learning how to get over your physical self and just be more in tune with everything here.
Completely.
Everything that's conscious and alive. So I'm with you. And I love talking about all this kind of, you called it woo-woo stuff. But on this show, when I find people that are willing to talk about it with me, I love to get into it.
I'm big on manifestation. I'm big on all of it. I think it's a huge part, and it ties deeply into my practice of Judaism. There's a lot, really, when you think of Kabbalah, like so much of what we talk about in a lot of these hyper spiritual kind of spaces around manifestation, around creativity, around source, like it's all tied to deep ancient Jewish wisdom. That's, like, to me, I think beautiful. And it's not necessarily unique to Judaism. I think a lot of these are concepts and beliefs that are shared in a lot of Eastern cultures, and I just think there's something so magical about it when you're able to kind of take all these elements, very much similar to like what we were talking about earlier about identity, and how we have these parallels. If you can start to see like how my existence in one space starts to inform my existence in another, and you could realize that so much of what we have done from just tradition in Judaism can then have these deeper connections to other like spiritual acts. And I like the example that I always give that I love, and this is like, it's super important to me, is I'm big on energy. And I do believe that like we are all given these we all have specific frequencies, and that's why you really vibe with some people, you don't vibe with others. Sometimes you could pinpoint a reason, and sometimes you can't, just because I just think that sometimes our frequencies repel people, and you just can't really say anything more than that. Yeah. But with that, I also believe so much of what we do in terms of our thought processes, and that ties into, I'm big on like Abraham Hicks manifestation, is around the power of positive intentional thinking and meditation.
You're talking about The Secret.
The Secret is based on the works of Abraham Hicks. So 100% very much I believe in all of that. And a lot of that is because I do think that when you use positive intentional thought, you are putting that energy into those kinds of possibilities, and it's what you start to see more of in your day-to-day life.
Yes, I agree with you. I've had that experience also. I feel that what our thoughts are energy. Completely. We resonate with each other's thoughts, and we actually are picking up that resonance.
Yes.
All the time.
All the time.
And some of us are putting out, and some of us are taking in, and some of us do both.
And people are like, sometimes they're like, oh, how does that? Anyone who's going to fight me on this, like, explain Wi-Fi to me. Like, there's so much in this world that's science, and it makes no sense to me. It just seems like magic. And I'm a believer. There are a lot of people, the best way I heard it explained is like, science is magic that we have figured out how to explain, and magic is science that we have not yet figured out how to explain.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of this is categorized in that. Obviously, yeah. Are there things that aren't real? 100%. Things can go far. But also my argument to that is, if it's rooted in the idea of positivity and love, then there is no harm. Then there is no harm in delusion that focuses on positivity and love. And with that, to tie it back to Judaism, what I always compare it to is like I got very into all of this, and then I went back to Israel, and I went to the Kotel, to the Western Wall. Mm-hmm. And I had just this realization, because it's such a powerful experience. And that's kind of a universal thing that you hear from people who go, and they're just so overwhelmed with emotion in this space. And to me, it's because, not that it's this physical connection to God, not that it's because it was from the temple. It's because it's this physical thing that our entire community is going and touching and putting prayer into and infusing it with energy.
Yes.
And when we go and touch that, your prayer is then supercharged by this incredible energetic force that's constantly being fed. And I do believe that, like, if we did the same practice, I always joke, I was like, if we went and prayed at Zabar's, like the same way we pray at the Kotel, then imagine? Yeah, Zabar's would become a spiritual place that would make all your wishes and dreams come true. But to me, like, I think the simplest way that you get to infuse that concept into your daily life is this idea of Shabbat. And you bake challah, and then it is this item on your table that you all stand around and say a prayer of gratitude. And you are infusing this item with positive prayer, and then you eat it and are ingesting this energy that's been supercharged by not just you. It's not the same to just be grateful for a meal, but to be grateful for a meal with a collective
that you share
is what supercharges it, because it's not just the energy of one person, it's the energy of everyone at the table. And that is where you start to see it's almost, and it's funny because I do refer to my friend group, we often refer to ourselves as a coven, mainly in jest, but I do think that concept of using community as a way to supercharge intention, it is just one of the most powerful things in this world. And you can take this and really go in any direction. You could take that from a creative lens of how do you gather people that have similar passions and use that ability of close proximity to people that are creatively charged to inspire yourself. You could do it in terms of like really anything, but that's how I really kind of lean into it and find that connection between kind of the more traditional elements of a Jewish upbringing in New York, and then tie in some of the hippie stuff that did not come from my parents or my grandparents.
Yeah, I didn't get that from my parents. I remember asking my mother, what happens after we die? Nothing. It's
nothing.
Over. It's over. What? It's nothing. Well, that never was good enough for me. I mean, for a long time, I probably believed that. But, like after losing my son, I needed more.
Yeah.
I had to believe that there was more than just it's over. And I started to believe that we're all part of a larger consciousness system, that we must be, and that he is probably on to bigger and better. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And that gives me peace.
For sure.
I need that. And I hope that we all find our way through this lifetime and learn what we need to learn. I think this is a learning place.
For sure.
We are learning not just how to be human, but how to make good decisions and how to learn from those decisions. Because this lifetime, I think that's all that we really need to do here is see where those decisions take us. I mean, look at where your decisions have taken you, and look what you've been able to create as a result of that. You've actually impacted so many people in their homes. This book sitting in somebody's home and they make a meal with it. Yeah. You've just changed somebody's life potentially. Maybe somebody took your advice and did a Shabbat and realized, wow, I love having a community of people around me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like those little things, and you're able to change reality with that intention.
Completely.
And that's kind of where I am too. I feel like I don't know how many people's lives I've changed by the work that I do, but I believe that even if I change a few, that it's worth it. It's worth it.
100%. I think that's the issue is too often people think, and I think we have this, it's a very interesting world I live in which I'm both a quasi-public figure, plus a lot of my friends and people that I interact with are more traditional celebrities.
Yeah.
And navigating people who do art, whether they're actors, singers, reality stars, the first question is, why? Why do you seek, like in what way does the validation of strangers play in the role of what you do?
In your art. Like, do you need that validation to do it, or will you do it anyway?
Correct. And with that then comes the other part of it, which is well, then how does that affect the way you make the art? How does that affect what your goals are? How does that affect the way that you present yourself truthfully versus a persona you begin to create?
Great questions.
And they're different for every person.
Yeah.
Everyone, and that's why it's like everyone's like, oh my God, what they always want to like, what's this person like?
Yeah.
And
what are they really like?
What are they really like?
Is it just this, or
and
is there more?
Are some people that, again, it's just like the same thing I said with the everyone's charged, and there are some famous people that I meet, and immediately we hit it off, and it's just like, what's your number? We're hanging out. Immediately, like, we start a rapport. And then there's some people where it's just, wow, I did not like that person, or not even I didn't like that person. They weren't for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't for them. And sometimes that can be just because of who they are. And sometimes, I would say more often, it's because of who they're pretending to be. And I find it so repulsive when I can sense that someone is really not being authentic. And I think authenticity is the goal for all of this. And and in terms of impact, like, that's the thing that I have the most pride in. It's not followers or book sales or any of that stuff. It's that these recipes then have become interwoven in the way that families celebrate these age-old traditions and kind of bring ritual into their lives on a weekly basis. And that's why it's all worth it.
Yeah, well, you had to make a book that you would be proud of.
Of course.
When you make the first book, you don't know if it's going to be a New York Times bestseller. Yeah. So what will you be left at the end of the day if you haven't made a book that's authentic to who you are? And now you were validated because this authentic piece of you was loved by so many people and enjoyed. So I think that is the takeaway from a lot of this. And even like being a quasi public figure, as you say it, sometimes I felt that way myself, being in the public eye with all of the things that happened with my son. And I had to decide early on if I wanted to step into that position and why. And the only reason that I can give for that, because I don't really like being in the public eye. It's kind of, you kind of lose your privacy.
Of course.
And, I've had people bother me when I was in public places, and sometimes that's uncomfortable because I just want to enjoy myself. I don't want to worry about people looking at what I'm eating or following me into the bathroom or whatever. But, I've decided that I need this platform because I need to be able to change the world. And because we all have to do something if we can, when we have the opportunity. If we can change somebody's heart, if we can change someone's mind, that it's worth it. Because there are so many people that don't understand what happened to my son. People that are making laws in the state of California, that are making laws about the kind of crime that happened to my son, that don't even know who we are. And, I've had to explain to them who I am, and I've changed their minds. I had a law that was withdrawn this year that would have allowed the person that killed my son to get out of jail one day. He's never supposed to get out of jail. So, but me just stepping up and saying something made that happen. If I had done nothing, these things just happen. So I encourage people to be advocates and activists also for positive change. Yeah. Because, we all have to do whatever we can do if we want to. I mean, not everybody wants to. Not everybody wants to write a cookbook and change the way that we see Jewish food. But I'm so glad you did. Yeah. And I think that, most people would say that the creative work that people are doing, whether or not they infuse it with their religious or cultural backgrounds, that creative art is what does create change in this world. Because we need art as humans. We need creativity. Otherwise, what is there? It's just survival, right? This is how we can manifest abundance.
Exactly.
Yeah, is through art and food, which we love so much. So you've mentioned that cooking for others is an act of self-care. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on how the act of hospitality, the giving of yourself through food, how is that a powerful tool for personal well-being?
I think that as humans, we crave community. We crave this tribal being of feeling like we belong.
Yeah, it's part of that physical
it's
part of us.
It's part of it. I think it is it's part of our hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And the reason that we've kind of lost a lot of that in our current society.
That connection.
The connection element. And we used to be a lot more community based, and it was also much more insular. So I'm not saying that it was perfect in the way that it was in the past, but I also think that we've overcorrected into these hyper individual existences. And I think that there is a really healthy balance of both to do that. And so for me, taking the time in the same way that we make time to go to the gym, make time to I don't know, do any other act of self-care, meditate, all of this stuff. Creating like a moment in which you're able to gather with people and be present with them over a meal is an incredibly powerful act that ends up creating like deep fulfillment. And that doesn't mean it doesn't come without labor. And so I think there's this idea of like, oh, I'm so stressed out by all this stuff. I don't think that it should be stressful. I think it could be labor intensive, but the stress is more so a something that we have attached to these acts based on societal pressures for a dinner party to look a specific way and us to be this consummate Martha Stewart host.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think it's a journey in the same way that you go to a yoga class and you don't beat yourself up for not being able to touch your toes yet. You know you're on a journey towards greater flexibility and health. The act of hosting and cooking for others is just each dinner party is one step on this journey.
Yeah.
Towards deeper community.
Yeah. So in the other books, I would say that are these other recipes, would you say they're less about doing a party for a group than your party animal?
No, funny enough, the response was, as I really started to kind of create this audience of people that did such magic around making these recipes and really infusing them into their daily lives, was they wanted more. And a big comment I would get is like, oh, I love this recipe. I make it every week. What would you recommend I serve with it? And I realized that starting to learn individual recipes is just the first step, but learning how to host is its own art form.
So true.
And so what I wanted to do was create these full menus where you'd have all of the recipes with your grocery list and your timeline, and so that you could do everything.
You made it easier.
And make it easier for people.
Yeah,
and so while all of my books really have the same soul, this is the one that really can be executed with such an understanding of hospitality.
Yeah. I was I remember when I was looking through your book and I saw some things that were really interesting to me that you wrote here. Yeah. One of them was, imagine Doug Emhoff and Brian Derrick discussing rising anti-Semitism in America as they schmear bagels. Yeah, I thought to myself, well, that would have been an interesting conversation there.
Yeah, they all have been like, this was during the campaign.
I can only imagine.
And I think that's what I love about me kind of creating these spaces and these meals. I'm not necessarily the one that's leading the conversation. I'm not necessarily the one that's doing anything but creating this conduit for the people I love and know in my life. And getting to be a witness to that is such a privilege that I get based on hosting.
Yeah. And you've made this book so fun. You have in here pictures of your friends that are celebrities and the questions that you suggest that people, that they've said that they would like to ask at one of your dinner parties. And I've picked out a few of them I thought I'd ask you.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So this was from Ben Spasek. What's a dream job for Minnie that would be your worst nightmare and why?
Really, it's funny. I say like, I said teacher.
I probably agree with you on that.
Yeah,
so
especially
hard.
for like young kids. Yeah, I think it is such a blessing when you see someone whose passion and whose purpose is to teach and have unlimited patience for children. I think it's such a blessing, and it's just one that I've not been blessed with.
Yeah, that's a doozy for sure. And then I'm going to turn this one around on you. Your question was, what's the best compliment you've ever received, and why did it resonate?
It's so interesting. It's such a random thing. I was at this 4th of July party up in the Hudson Valley, and there was this non-binary tarot card reader who was giving readings at this big gay party. And I sit down and they look at me and they're like, "Oh, you're pure light. You must get that a lot." And it was something that
I actually had been starting to get more and more often. And it just felt like in this moment of validation of feeling seen. And it wasn't about anything other than feeling like that was a sign that I am being my truest self to even people I'm meeting at the first time.
Mm-hmm. And they don't know who you are.
They don't know who I am, and yet it's still resonating in that way, and that's why I loved it so much.
You're coming off as somebody that is engaged, that you're seeing them. Exactly. They feel seen by you.
And I think that's the thing that often bogs people down as they are really navigating how they come off, or why they're not necessarily coming off in the best way to others. And a lot of times I think it's because they're not being their truest self.
There's something missing. Maybe, exactly. But there is something about you. I think that's very open.
Yeah.
People feel comfortable in your presence. And I think that's what that is, and
because you give permission for them to be their true self.
Yeah. People feel comfortable to talk to you. Like you're not in a rush. You're just there. And you're seeing them, and it gives people a good feeling. People like that. They need that. I think that's part of that human connection, is to feel like there's time. There's time to become friends. It's a nice thing. And Isaac Mizrahi, a close friend of yours?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. He wants to know, what are you reading? Not to say I judge people who don't read, but okay, I judge people who don't read.
Yeah. Right now I'm reading for fun this quick little book called Save the Cat, and it's a book on screenwriting. Oh, and I just love the idea of like learning about storytelling, and I think it's such a foreign thing to me in the sense of writing a movie or a TV show, and yet I think the core elements of telling a story is so integral to what I do that I'm really just interested in seeing how it resonates.
That sounds really interesting. I should read that book. Very cool. Yeah. Let's see. There was one other thing here I think I wanted to ask you about. Oh, of course, that was there. I just think this is such a fun book. And everything looks so delicious.
That's the goal. That's the most important thing. I want everyone to really like resonate like that.
I know. I mean, I don't see any bell pepper in here. I'm like so happy. I'm not the only one that doesn't like bell pepper. Right?
I have roasted red peppers.
Roasted red peppers are great.
I'm not into raw red peppers either.
Okay, but green peppers are like my least, and they put them on pizza, but you probably have found a use for them.
I'm okay with in like a peppers and onions situation, cooked down, I can deal with any color. Okay. I'm just never I'm not so into the raw peppers.
I know. It's like I'm looking through, I'm like, I don't see any of the things that like make
funny enough that I have it in I could nosh as a salad, and everything is raw vegetables except for the peppers I roast.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I know, because they have such a strong flavor, right? Like
I think it's personal preference. At the end of the day, I'll eat anything. So if it's done well, I'll love it.
There's no ew.
There are plenty of things that I don't enjoy, but like I always say, if it's on a tasting menu, I'm eating it.
Okay. Were you a picky eater as a kid?
I was.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the kind of picky eater that like everyone in the family remembers, you were the picky eater?
No, my sister's much pickier than I am.
Okay.
And she didn't grow out of it, so.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Yeah, we had some real doozies in my family, to the point where some people had to learn how to cook because I told them, if you can either have cereal or you can cook your own meal. I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. I'm not a short order chef for everyone in the house, Yeah, because we had some picky eaters. Blaise was the least picky.
I believe it.
The least picky, and of course, he would probably try anything. I would say, yeah, probably. So tell me, what was it like growing up in the Cohen house?
I mean, I had two working parents. I had a very loving family. I grew up in Queens in the city, and it wasn't full of kind of a ton of home cooked dinners. And that was more of like a special occasion thing, especially for the holidays. That's when really like everyone paused everything and made sure that pure abundance. But on a day-to-day basis, it really was less of that kind of intention. And I think it definitely got me wanting more. And as I really kind of got into cooking, especially in high school, when I really kind of took it on as my number one hobby, and then turned into like exactly what I wanted.
So in high school you started?
In high school is when I really leaned into it. And I just knew this was it. It was the only, CIA was the only college I applied to.
And parents were good with that?
Yeah.
It took a real quick second for my mom to get on board, just because it's just it was so left field out of what I had been talking about doing for a while. And then the second I knew it, it was the easiest thing ever. It just felt so right. I feel it in my heart. I could feel it in my gut. And that's how everything in my life works. It was godly.
It just channeled. What's the birth order?
I'm the oldest, and I have a sister who's 13 months younger.
And that's it. And extended family? Did you have your grandparents around?
Yes. My grandfather died when I was young. He died in 2002. But I grew up with him, and I had my two grandmothers who I was incredibly close with. My father's mother lived in the village, and I just grew up going and spending weekends with her, and even into like my 20s of my professional life. Like she was like one of my best friends, and I spent a ton of time with her. My mother's mother, also very close with. I was just staying with her in Florida, and I brought her to my book signing there in Miami. And yeah, I'm very blessed to have incredible, powerful women.
Yeah. What was it like coming out?
Easy. It was one of those things where I didn't come out until my freshman year of college, and it all started because I wasn't out. I was in the closet. I met this guy, and I remember we were just talking in a very friendly way. And it progressed, and he asked me out on a date, and it was really just this internal thing. I was like, am I going to say yes to this and do what's going to make me happy, or am I going to continue to kind of hold it in? And it was just that made it it was just really easy.
Yeah.
So the second I said yes, I just came out to people, to my friends, and then that fell apart very quickly. But I ended up quickly meeting who became my first like real serious boyfriend in college. And that's when I told my parents, because I was like, I'm big on sharing all aspects of me with the people I love.
Yeah.
And so I told my parents, they met him.
You were in your 20s though, probably.
I was 18.
Okay. So that's about the time that Blaze came out to us, but it was not easy for him. Your parents must have been pretty easygoing people.
Yeah, I think it's a me thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm someone that's very stubborn and then once I have my mindset on something, that's it.
Yeah, but you knew for a while, obviously. Yeah. You'd known for a while. I think
everyone knows. Everyone knows, and it's a deep truth that you have to give yourself the permission to really see and open. And I think of it. I think of so many, when I think of these deep truths, like the funniest thing is I'm very into like psychedelic work and like ritualized psychedelic use. And I think that's kind of the closest to when I think of the visualization of what it took to get to that understanding of it's a truth in a room with a door closed and you are just banging it down to open it. And you never know when the door is just going to swing open, and you have to, but it's not just going to do it on its own, either through intensive therapy, introspective work, ritualized psychedelic use. These are all ways that help you get closer to kind of finding these portals to your subconscious to see these deep truths.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's why it's another thing is like when you're so young, you don't necessarily have the tools to really be introspective yet.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of why I think it took a bit for me.
Yeah. Psychedelics. Yay or nay?
Oh, yeah. I think it's...
Should everyone try?
I think everyone should try through some type of like ritualized thing. With intention. Listen, I love recreational drug use too, but the power of using these as tools to get in touch with your subconscious and creating intentional use for deeper understanding of yourself, in addition to create new neural pathways of you are so ingrained based on your childhood, based on the habits of your parents, of how you respond to external stimuli. And you're so stuck in where you were as a child, because those are just neural pathways that have become reinforced over the crucial years of brain development.
Yeah.
So to create
a new response to the same external stimuli goes against the literal wiring of your brain.
Yeah.
And so you really need either intense ritual to help create new neural pathways of like, oh, I'm not going to respond in this way. I'm going to respond in that way and do that. But I find that ritualized psychedelic work is kind of like a really great way to start to make changes in your life.
Yeah. Does it help you disassociate from yourself and like look at yourself?
That's more. It's funny because that's what a lot of people are doing with. I've never done ketamine therapy, but that's exactly what ketamine therapy does. I mean, I love ketamine, but just recreationally. But no, everyone I know who's had, and again, there's a lot of research showing that ketamine is going to be the future of the way that we treat depression in America.
They are using it for that
and I believe it. I think it's. I think creating space in which you're able to look at yourself from the outside in is a powerful act that allows you to really start to think about like, how much am I just going with the motions and how much am I actually like living my truth?
Yeah. I think it's so hard for people to even know what their truth is. We're
sure.
so programmed
that
we come out, we're told who we are, what we're supposed to do with our lives.
Yeah.
And how we're going to do it, and how we're going to fail if we don't, and we just start down that path, and then everything's going okay, but then all of a sudden something happens, like maybe your child dies or something, terrible happens, and then you're kind of like, wait a minute, I did everything right, I followed the program, but I didn't end up where I was supposed to be. Now what do I do? So like for somebody like me, when it happened to me, it really rocked me, just so hard, to go from feeling like you lived the most abundant, perfect life. Some people say, I lived a Rockwellian dream, Jewish dream. And then to have that taken away from me like that. I think sometimes maybe there's another reality where that didn't happen. And
I'm a big believer
I'm not
in
there.
that.
I know.
I'm a big believer. But I also believe like there are two, like the two phrases that come to me. First is like I'm very big into like stoicism, and like Ryan Holiday's book The Obstacle is the Way, I think is the most incredible book of self-help book that I've
I'm gonna
read.
Put a list of all these books in your page on my website.
And about, again, stoicism, it's like nothing is inherently good or bad. It's the way you let it affect you that really is where that kind of becomes categorized. And then the other is there's this word, it's both in Arabic and in Hebrew, maktub, which just means it's already written. And it's kind of this kind of like, again, it comes down to faith of like kind of deep divine timing of things are going to play out the way that they're meant to play, and you don't necessarily have control on that. And
the learning lesson.
And I'm like, it kind of plays into this conversation, like, do we have free will? And
probably not.
It's part of all of this, and I think, But
we must have free will, or else making decisions wouldn't be important here. And
are they important?
I think that it's those decisions that we make, every place that we could go one way or the other, and whatever choice we make, I think that that's part of the process.
But do we have control over the way that we make those decisions?
It's a great question. I think they're probabilities.
Of course.
Probabilities.
But I think it's in the same way that we have these like energetic charges.
Yeah.
I do think that we have these codes within us that push us towards specific habits of how we are going to handle these situations.
It's just like chemistry.
And I don't know. It's just, but they're great thought experiments, and as you do it, you're like, okay, because it's funny because when you say it to Jews, it's always like, it's like, well, but what about the Holocaust? It always goes back to the Holocaust.
Oh, everything
goes back to the Holocaust. And
or what about October 7th?
But all of these, there's so many ways, and so I don't have answers to everything, but I do have questions.
I have lots of questions too. Okay, I got some quick fires for you, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. Okay, sweet or savory? Which corner of the kitchen is your absolute happy place?
Sweet. I have such a sweet tooth. I love both. I always need both, but
it always has lots of sweets.
Okay, ingredient you're overrated. What's an ingredient you wish people would stop obsessing over?
Truffle oil.
Oh, I agreed.
I think it's so it's like putrid. I love like save up once in a while, go and like just bowl out and have a fresh shaved truffle over a dish, but that it's just it's so intense. It's like truffle's supposed to be a really delicate flavor, and truffle oil is anything but the case.
Oh yeah, and when you use it with mushrooms that are already in your dish, like overkill. I hear you. Ingredient you're obsessed with. What's one you can't live without right now?
I say this a lot. Sumac. Yeah, so good. It's a dried ground berry, and so it citrusy. It adds acidity, but it's not overly fruity. But it adds kind of this real depth of acidity to any dish. So it's typically see it sprinkled on like grilled meats and yogurts, but I love it with fruit. I love it with chocolate. I love it in salad dressings.
I forget about that one, but that's a good one to remember. Sumac. Best food city outside of New York. What is your favorite food city in the world?
It's Tel Aviv. I think as a food city, it's just
agreed. Best conversation lubricant. What food or drink reliably gets people talking at a party?
Oh, you know what? It's so funny. I think it's a pick in a blanket. I think really nostalgic foods get people in their most comfortable selves.
Oh, that's great. The host's secret weapon. What is the one non-food item, music, lighting, scent, that is essential for a great party?
You know what? It's beverages. It's having abundance, and that could be anything. It could be sodas, seltzers, anything, wines. Like, just make sure that everyone has a glass full, and they're gonna have a good time.
Yep. Ultimate dinner party guest. If you could have anyone, living or historical, at your table, who would it be?
If I'll go historical, I would say Julia Child would be a dream, just because like that's like kind of the blueprint for everything.
Right. I mean, she was just a housewife, right? Yeah. Who loved cooking.
Yeah.
And she figured it out. Biggest dinner party pet peeve. What's one thing a guest can do that drives you nuts?
Ask who else is coming. I think that's
Isn't that rude?
It is 100% a no-go. You trust that I would curate it.
Yes.
So that you're going to have great people.
I'm with you on that. The next big thing, after dinner party animal, what culinary project or theme is next on your mind?
What's on my mind, I'll probably announce it soon. I'm not going to go into depth, but really I think it's the everyday. I think it's the way that we are cooking on the fly. It's the way that we are just navigating kind of the skill set of how to just cook with what you have.
Oh yeah, I love
and
that.
Learn like the techniques and kind of like the equations that can be kind of universal.
Yeah, it's almost like when we were running from Egypt, like, that's how we ended up with matzah.
Yeah, you make it work. Right.
Whatever there is, make it work. One dish, one story. If you had to share one dish with someone who never met you, what would it be, and what would it say about you?
It would be challah, and I think it says the intention that I put behind these meals, because I think there's something quite intimate of baking fresh bread for someone.
Yeah, and it's so delicious.
Yes, too.
And it brings people together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. It meant a ton. It meant so much to me to have you here, to have you see what Blaze's life was like, all of his things here, and sharing your philosophies. You have some great out-of-the-box ideas about life and the universe, which I love. It really resonated with me. And sharing all of your beautiful creations here, your babies. I think of books like this as children.
Truly.
Right.
Yeah.
You've created some magnificent children that will live forever, I hope, and we're going to enjoy these recipes for many years, for generations. People will be making your food. So thank you so much for creating Jewish life for us, for modern Jewish life. You're part of it. You're a creator. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. All right, thank you so much for having me. And then everyone can grab Dinner Party Animal wherever books are sold, online and store, and I hope you cook from it.
Blaze It Forward is a campaign my family started in 2018 after our son Blaze was murdered. Blaze It Forward provides the inspiration to thousands of people to repair the world with intentional acts of kindness. If you would like to learn more about Blaze and how you can make a difference, check out www.blazebernstein.org or join our Facebook group at #BlazeItForward. You can also check out my website for this podcast at www.PeppTalksWithJeanne.com. There you can follow along with my podcasting adventures and learn more about my fascinating guests and their passion projects. I would like to thank all of the volunteers who help make my philanthropic endeavors a reality. Today that includes my producer, Eli Moskowitz, all of the volunteer crew members who join us, and a special thank you to my son, Jay Bernstein, for the original theme song you hear at the beginning and ending of each show. This has been another episode of Pep Talks with Jeanne. Until next time, keep on making this world a better place.